Do you remember those tunes that everyone couldn't get enough of? The ones that took over the radios only to disappear as fast as they appeared? Yeah, these one-hit wonders defined the 70s. They were a quick burst of the 70s magic that disappeared just as fast as they made you dance. But today, we are bringing them back. In this video, we're headed back to the 1970s and remembering 10 one-hit wonders that are all but forgotten today. These are songs that were once popular on the radio and then probably faded into obscurity. Ranging from funky tunes to uplifting melodies, these songs captured the sound of the times. So sit back and listen. You may just hear a tune that brings you back to a time and maybe even a place. Dancing in the Moonlight, King Harvest, 1972.
Dancing in the moonlight, everybody's feeling warm and right. It's such a fine and natural sight.
Some songs are the definition of a memory, and King Harvest Dancing in the Moonlight was one of them. For most 70s kids, you hear that first piano note, and suddenly, it all rushes back. The early 1970s, windows down, radio up, driving under the stars. For many 70s kids, even up until today, Dancing in the Moonlight was more than just a song, but a feeling, a memory, a time machine back to an era where everything kinda made sense. This smooth rolling groove made the most out of every summer night, as if the whole world was in on the same secret. Just good times, no worries. Somehow, a group of American musicians named King Harvest, who found their sound in Paris, had hit gold in 1972. This song climbed to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 73, but here it gets weird. They never had another. A true one-hit wonder, yes, but look at what they created. It was such a hit. But for something so happy, this song had a tragic origin. See, Sherman Kelly wrote it in '69. Hoping for that idyllic and peaceful world someday after a dark chapter of his life. And somehow, he spoke to us all, and we all felt the same peace. Even decades later, it still plays, still has you smiling, still has you dancing in the moonlight. Do you remember where you were when you first heard it? Let us know in the comments section below. Beach Baby, The First Class, 1974. For many, First Class's Beach Baby was a song that certainly gave you that feeling that you were driving down the California coast, even if you were just driving through the neighborhood. I mean, Beach Baby was released in 1974, but felt more like a love letter to the sun-soaked, surf-loving days of the early 60s than anything available at the time. The soaring harmonies, rich orchestration, and that immortal brass section captured the essence of those carefree summers into a 3-minute anthem. To make things even stranger, ironically, it wasn't even American. Apparently, John Carter and his wife, singing partner, Gillian Shakespeare, wrote it in their London home, and it came to life, like so many things in their lives, inspired by a dream of both golden beaches and endless waves. As if that wasn't wild enough, The First Class wasn't any kind of real band, but a studio project with weekly session singers, often centered around singing like Tony Burrows. But as we all know today, that didn't stop Beach Baby from making huge waves. This song peaked at number 4 in the US, a respectable number 13 in the UK, and most importantly for Canada, it hit the top. Even today, throw it on, close your eyes, just like that, you are on a beach in summer, and it never ends. Were you a fan of Beach Baby? Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, Looking Glass, 1972. If you ask any lover of the 1970s, they will tell you that the early 1970s was a time when soft rock and pop music dominated the airwaves. Bell-bottom jeans were in fashion, and vinyl records told stories that continue to remain in our memories. And there's not a better representation of this time than the 1972 song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by the group Looking Glass. This song was not just a hit, it was the song. All of the elements of a good song were present: catchy melody, the jangly guitar riffs, and the fraternal vocal harmonies. But underneath the fun tune was a bittersweet song. Brandy was the popular barmaid from a busy port town who had the attention of every sailor that rolled through town. But the sailor she loved could never stay. His heart belonged to the sea. With a story like this, the gasoline mixture of longing and devotion captured everyone's hearts and brought the song to land at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. And that wasn't all, because this one-hit wonder had a legacy. Sounds strange, but this song started a baby naming trend. which honestly is the ultimate long-lasting tribute. It even saw a comeback when decades later, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 movie would go on to label the song possibly Earth's greatest composition. Not too shabby for a one-hit wonder. But what do you think? Was Brandy really all that? And did you have a Brandy of your own during the summer? Let us know in the comments section below. And while you're at it, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. All done? Great. Let's mosey on, shall we? Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes. Edison Lighthouse, 1970.
She ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free.
Some songs just define everything. And in January 1970, just as a new decade was beginning, Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes suddenly appeared on the airwaves, a perfect little pop song bursting with optimism. The streets were filled with disco fashion, platform shoes, and a carefree energy, just as this song emerged. With its bright, bouncy tune and that undeniably infectious open line, how could there not be a sunny, optimistic anthem? The song quite literally sounds like the intro to a 70s TV program. In the meantime, it was a lot more of a studio confection than it might initially sound. It was written by Tony McCulley and Barry Mason and originally recorded as Jefferson by Jeff Torton, although it did not see the light of day for quite a few years. Instead, session singer Tony Burrows, with a talent for being one of the frontmen in various bands, delivered the Michelob version as Edison Lighthouse, which we now know. The song climbed to number 1 in the UK for 5 weeks, the top 5 in the US before hitting the charts for good, and honestly, it doesn't feel like it ever really left. Even today, it's back on the playlist as part of TikTok, proving that wherever this song plays, it will still be true that love grows. But let us know in the comments below, were you a fan of the song? Afternoon Delight, Starland Vocal Band, 1976.
Afternoon delight.
It was the summer of 1976. America was 200 years old. The Olympics were taking place in Canada, and Rocky and the Taxi Driver were just released. And in the middle of this was Afternoon Delight, a song so sweetly harmonized, you may have overlooked the double entendre its lyrics reference. And why wouldn't you? If this was how they talked about your song, then it definitely was a hit.
Their song Afternoon Delight rocketed, or more appropriately, skyrocketed to number 1 the week following America's 200th birthday. The band even won 2 Grammy Awards and had their own TV variety show, featuring a then little-known comic named David Letterman.
Written by Bill Danoff, who saw Afternoon Delight as a special on the Clyde's menu in Georgetown, this Starland Vocal Band release was not about food, but an ironic and humorous nod to nutrition and eroticism. With its breezy sound and near-angelic harmonies, the song shot up to the number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, winning the band 2 Grammys. It was the gold-certified sound of the moment, timeless and manifesting in a suggestive way, but still wrapped in wholesomeness and feel-good tunes. Till today, it remains a counterculture classic, remembered and immortalized in films such as Anchorman and award-winning shows such as Arrested Development, which can confirm that even a little fun in an afternoon can have a long-lasting glow. Do you like Afternoon Delight? My Maria, B.W. Stevenson, 1973. Now, this was the classic of 1973. Honestly, what a song. You hear it, and all you want to do is roll the windows down in your car and let everyone hear the best off-key sing-along they've ever likely heard. See, in 1973, records were spinning on a turntable non-stop. The country rock movement was warming up, and it was mixing twang with a little pop charm. It was during this time that B.W. Stevenson, a Texan with a glorious voice, teamed up with Daniel Moore to write this happy song that put the genre on the map. With Larry Carlton's unbelievable guitar licks and a beautiful vocal performance by B.W., My Maria became B.W.'s first signature song, hit number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on Adult Contemporary. Although B.W. was never able to replicate the success of My Maria, it lived on all the way to Brooks and Dunn covering My Maria and somehow winning a Grammy in 1997, long after B.W.'s version. Whether you were introduced to My Maria in the 1970s or through Brooks and Dunn many years later, it still has the same fun, road trip, floating feel. But which do you think is the original? The Brooks and Dunn version? Magnet and Steel, Walter Egan, 1978. To be honest, in the summer of 78, music was different. Sure, disco was quickly becoming king, but there was something about these soft rock songs that just reached into your soul. And Magnet and Steel, this was one of those songs. See, Walter Egan wrote it about Stevie Nicks, the same moonlit, wild-hearted sorceress with a voice like a lovesick ghost. And honestly, you could hear that in every note of that dreamy and lovesick affair the entire song encapsulated. To make things even more insane, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks even sang backup, and it was pure Fleetwood Mac magic. It was one of those songs that made you feel like you were living in the movie. And even years later, when it was played in Boogie Nights, it was like a time capsule.
After goes to, I've seen all his movies and I can't wait to work with him, Mr. Dirk Diggler.
Songs like this, for whatever reason, don't go away, which is a lot for a one-hit wonder. Rock Your Baby, George McCrae, 1974. Magnet and Steel was not the only hit that was released during the summer of 1974, as another song was also ready to push disco into the spotlight, and you could feel it was in the air. When did Rock Your Baby hit the airwaves? That was it. That was the moment disco became the king of the 70s. This song marked more than a mere success. It provided the model for everything thereafter. In fact, that nice and catchy groove, that wasn't a drummer playing in the studio either. It was one of the first major studio hits to successfully utilize a drum machine. It was remarkably ahead of its time. And to make it worse, George McCrae wasn't even slated to sing it. Casey and the Sunshine Band wrote for Gwen, George's wife, who didn't arrive on time when they decided to record that day, and so McCrae had to fill in. And honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way because that voice was pure gold. You hear the song once, and boom, you remember hearing it on a summer blasting out of car radios, spinning in dance clubs, and couples swaying under neon lights. It had this casually cool, laid-back vibe and felt like the song made you move. And move it did, straight up to number 1 in the US and the UK. It was a worldwide occurrence. Even ABBA's Dancing Queen borrowed heavily from Rock Your Baby. Just to put it mildly, everyone was concerned about this song. It mattered. It wasn't simply music, it was already history in the making. But here's the real question, which was better, Magnet and Steel or Rock Your Baby? Let us know in the comments section which was a bigger hit. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, Vicki Lawrence, 1973.
That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia.
In 1973, the hottest thing in music was storytelling style songs. And probably the best story song of the decade was The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. This song was an absolute gem. Written by Bobby Russell, this masterpiece almost went unreleased. But luckily for the world, his wife, actress Vicki Lawrence, recognized the potential of the song, so she recorded it herself. And just like that, a legend was born. Now, here's where it gets crazy. See, while the song was easy to digest, both musically and lyrically, the tone was what set it apart. From start to finish, this masterpiece had a chilling Southern Gothic vibe. Throughout the song, there was this sense that we were being drawn into a riveting tale of betrayal, murder, and injustice. But what really made this song blow up was that eerie twist at the end, when we realized the narrator was, in fact, you know what? We won't spoil it for those who haven't heard it yet. However, if you grew up with this song, you know just how mind-blowing that twist was. The song was so good that it quickly climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a cherished standard across the decades. And like all good stories, it refused to die. And in the mid-90s, Reba McEntire's famous cover sparked a ghostly resurgence of The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia and brought its twist to an all-new generation. But what do you think? Was The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia truly the best storytelling song from the 70s? And how do you feel about the twist? Driver's Seat, Sniff and the Tears, 1978.
Jenny was sweet. She always smiled for the people she meet.
The late 70s had a certain feel to it. Windows down, cool breeze, and Driver's Seat blasting out the speakers. And if you ever find yourself wondering what that sounds like, then all you have to do is listen to Sniff and the Tears' hit song Driver's Seat. More than any other, this song captured that restless feeling in 1978 and combined a rock sound with a new wave sound. The driving rhythm, the sweet guitar jabs, and the hypnotic synthesizers were perfect for late night driving, and honestly, it still is today. But of course, it wasn't just about driving. Paul Roberts wrote it as a way to deal with a breakup, and somehow, for many, it became a metaphor for freedom. It hit the Billboard charts in '79, reached the #1 spot in the Netherlands in '91, and was revived in, you guessed it, Boogie Nights. Now, when you hear this masterpiece, you are transported back to those late-night feelings of hands on the wheel, streetlights flashing by, feeling like the night was full of infinite possibilities. It wasn't just a song, it was a time. But what do you think about the driver's seat? The 1970s were not just a decade, they were a state of mind, a whole vibe, if you will. Music had depth. The songs you heard on the radio were hard to forget, and even the one-hit wonder artists managed to change the world forever. But now, it's your turn. Which of these forgotten gems still takes you back? Which of these songs transported you back to a specific time and place? Maybe a summer evening, a school dance, or maybe even a long drive with the radio up. Let us know in the comments, and let's keep this nostalgic conversation going. And if you love nostalgia as much as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more trips down memory lane. Until next time, let's keep the nostalgia alive.